Welcome viewers. So today just I will go through the another poem. So that is after Blenheim. Blenheim is a place very close to Bavaria in South German. And this poem is also being composed by very natural poet and outstanding poet, that is Robert Southey. I think he was an extraordinary poet. Poet of nature, love, affection, giving his views and also giving his thoughts in a high esteemed manner. That is called into the real idealistic conditions. And his moods and his thoughts means arranged well, just get into a fruitful poem. So after Blenheim, so how horror the war was during the past times. Just I will describe very briefly. Means how the horror of the war was. It was very strikingly. Means it is very just anti-war poem being hated by the poet. Being hated by the poet. So it is just Robert Southey just was a natural poet, poet of passion, thoughts, ideal manners, and also he was a poet laureate. Means he was a court poet of England for a span of 30 years. So the conversation or the running commentary is going on between the grandfather and they are also the grandchildren. So grandfather and also the grandchildren. Grandfather means the old Casper, and their the grandchildren are, that is Wilhelmine and Peterkins. So there are three characters are involved in this story. So they are discussing just on a glorious wars and its consequences. Several discussions is going on that topic. But it is ironically to say that old Casper's only concern is that his own complacency is about that. His own complacency is just he is giving that only in form of a great victory, a famous victory at the cost of the destruction of the human lives and the properties just as well. So without concerning about the devastation and the destructions which just had happened or occurred during the warfare time, so many innocent lives were lost, but without giving just importance to that aspects. So now I will come to this poem. It was a summer evening. Old Casper's work was done, and he, before his cottage door, was sitting in the sun, and by him just spotted on the green, and little just grandchild Wilhelmine. So here, it was the summer evening time, and old Casper, after completed the day of the works, means completing the work of that day, Then he was taking rest just outside of his cottage, just under the sunshine. Under the sunshine means that was the summer days. So he was getting relaxation. Also uh, taking the means also the rest after the hard labor and the hard work of that day is over. So we're sitting on the sun, and by him just pattered on the green, and very close to that the cottage. There is very lovely lush green field just was very close by just his cottage, and his little grandchild Uleman, and little grandchild Uleman was also playing there, loving the atmosphere, loving the nature, loving the environment. I think the first stanza is quite comfortable, cozy, serene, pleasant, soothing atmosphere at all in that context. But what the occurrence is going to happen later, just we will see in the latter part of this time. She saw her brother Peterkin just roll something large and round, which he beside the rivulet, and in playing there had found. He came to ask what he had found that was so large and also smooth and round. So seesaw means Ulemine, Peterkin's sister, little sister. She just noticed that her brother Peterkin was rolling something that was playing something which was also means that is large and round. That object was very large and also very round and smooth, and which just beside the rivulet means there was also stream passes by just near the cottage. The stream was also get attachment to very close to his cottage. So just beside the stream, Peterkin was just playing, enjoying his times, just getting the lovable just the laureates or the atmospheric condition. In that context, he was enjoying his times. Just that time, just he just he found just something was large and round. So the object was, and in just playing there, I just had found it. Just he came to ask what he had found that was so large and smooth and round. As soon as he just got from there, as soon as he found, Peterkin just very promptly and very instantly just rushed back and also to just his grandfather, and also asked one question, his queries about that. Because he had no knowledge about that, no ideas about that, because he was too innocent and also extremely having no ideas about that and inexperienced, unaware of that object. So very promptly switching on the answer just to his grandfather, what was that object and what was that alike and what was that object was. The queries just he expectantly asked this question to his grandfather. So that was so large, smooth and round. That was so large, very smooth and round. So here the poet has added something interesting and not exposed the secret of that, the secret of the story, the secret of that object, because the poet has kept suspense to the readers, not opening up the truthfulness of that, the abstractness of that object. So only just giving the picturization of that was so large, round, smooth object that was only. So old Caspar took it from the boy, and who stood just the expectant boy. Old Caspar took that from his grandchild Peterkin, and also who stood expectant by. Peterkin has so much experience and wisdom, many experiences in the long innings of his life, long run of life. He understood well about that, knew well, enough ideas about that. Then what was that an object was? and also who stood expectant by. And also then the old man shook his head. And Peterkin was so much eagerly expecting, because he knew that his grandfather has enough knowledge and wonderful knowledge about that an object. So, because he had so many times of listened very glorious and fantastic stories from his, so just he had lots of faith, tremendous faith, just upon his grandfather, asking these queries and questions, and so much of expectations and anxieties. That is the what are the queries about that an object. So very eagerly and anxiously, just asking that question, and then the old man shook his head. Postman very readily understood that, very promptly understood, and also getting very sadness and also feeling very sorry for that, because he understood that the object just was a skull, that was a skull of the many soldiers who died just on that spot, on that garden, on that field. It may be one of the soldiers who got just this skull may be one of the soldiers out of the many soldiers who got buried just in that places, and are just with a natural sigh. The natural sigh means it is taking at the old age time, that is involuntarily taking this sighness. And it is some poor fellows called Sadi who fall in the great victory. Great victory. Great victory here means the Battle of Blenheim. So it was a tremendous, outstanding victory, marvelous, glorious victory. And that was some poor fellow's skull. Then he explained that that was one of the skulls just buried under the ground. That means one of the soldiers who were involved in fighting there between the English and the French. So I find them in the garden, for there are many here about. I often, when I go to the plough, I find them in the garden, for there is many here about. Just here, just the grandfather adding to that also the queries of the grandchildren. So that just I have got many more just calls while just I am plowing my garden, plowing my fields. But you have got just only one. It is my daily routine. It is my daily activities. So it is the regular activities. I am the regular customer of. It is the very common factors in finding such many more skulls out of the plowing. So that is the plowshare turns them out. Plowshare, the blade, the teeth of the plow. While flying, the blade of the plow, the teeth of the plow turns them out to the surface. So many more skulls I just are finding just on the surface of the earth, because I unearthed them to the surface of the earth. And for many thousands means many thousands, it refers very horrifying, very terrifying it is, so terrific, so terrible, so horrible in nature that is was, because many more. So one side is just it is going on. The pleasant aspects of that means that is the children are associated with that, finding the skulls, no knowledge about that, regardless of the knowledge about that. But another side, the horrifying means the first time they are going to experience such type of. So I think above all that is. So while just the grandfather plowing the fields, find many more skulls out of the ground, and that is where the slain in that great victory were killed, were brutally murdered, killed, just in the warfare of times. So up to this today, now next stanza just I will repeat in my next classes onwards. Till then, just have a good day, and thank you all, and bye bye to all.